Hello all, Old Geek again, and today I'm talking about money and nostalgia and stupidity and sheer bloody mindedness. One of the most common topics of discussion in old school gaming groups is the cost. How books and modules have rocketed up in price over the last 10 years or so. And they're not wrong. But they're also the reason it has happened, as am I, and probably a lot of you. The discussions I see usually become extremely frustrating, filled with erroneous figures, false assumptions, and often trumpeted myths. And the people spreading that misinformation are often dead set on being right. We're nerds, of course we're right. What many of them won't realise is that they are causing the issue that they are complaining about by saying what they're saying. Okay, some might realise it, but some are just too plain stupid. So, before I offend everybody who watches this, a bit of background. Most of us are part of the same demographic. We're looking to rediscover those feelings of our youth because we've reached a certain age and it has dawned on us that we're not getting any younger. Many of us are coming to the end of our mortgages. Kids have grown up, partners working full time. My wife gave up work while our kids were young. She's back at work now. And thus, even if our own incomes are nothing special, our responsibilities are reducing, and thus we have a little more disposable income to spend on our hobbies. So with so many of us from the basic and AD&D era of the game reaching the same stage in life together, we have created demand. Demand for a scarce product will push the price up. That's basic economics. But so will perception and impatience. When I got back into the hobby, I started trying to rebuild my gaming collection, mostly through eBay. This was a few years ago. My kids were still small, my wife was not yet back at work, so I didn't have much money to spend. I now look back and wish that I had, because those gaps in my collection are getting ever more expensive to fill. I went to the UK Games Expo for the first time 7 years ago and spent ages in the bring and buy section. Loads of juicy second-hand stuff. But the variation in the amounts being asked for the items perturbed me. I didn't know what was a good deal and what wasn't. So I didn't buy very much that time. Instead, I went away and I set up a database. Initially, it contained only basic, expert and first edition items, but I did eventually expand a little to include MERP and second edition. In it, I recorded completed eBay sales, actual sales, sale prices with postage costs included. Armed with new knowledge, I went to the Games Expo 12 months later and plundered the second-hand section to my heart's content, because I knew what was a good deal and what wasn't. I do still have that database, and I updated it sporadically. I think the last time I updated though was back in 2019 due to the work involved, but I do cross-check amounts in it with a few items on eBay from time to time. Thus, when discussions on how much is this worth pop up in Facebook, for example, I often chime in. But I don't get the response I would logically expect. I often get drowned out by others quoting exaggerated figures. And often the asker of the question goes away believing those figures, thus exacerbating the issue. It's almost as if some people want others to believe those high numbers. Ulterior motives, perhaps? Now, I know some of you might be gnashing your teeth right now, your false teeth perhaps, thinking something is worth what someone is willing to pay for it. My point is that if the belief that values are high are spread, then naturally prices will go up, as people will believe that they are paying the going rate. Their perception of the value will increase if they are told something is worth more. Before anyone chimes in with print on demand being an option, I know it is, but I'm very particular and I like to have the original versions. With the main maps in the loose cardboard covers, they're much easier to use, and the print on demand versions don't do that, at least not the ones I've seen. I don't want to have to take a cover off in order to be able to use the map without having to flip backwards and forwards all the time, and I do want to use what I buy. Perhaps the biggest myth that continually perpetuates is that in AD&D, that first printing of deities and demigods with Cthulhu and Melnibodean mythos is worth a fortune. If the commenters on Facebook are to be believed, then $200 or $300 a copy, maybe more for a really good one, and they will gleefully repeat that. And when challenged, they'll point to a carefully chosen eBay ad with a ridiculous buy it now price set on it. I do wish they would stop doing that though, because it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, as some will believe it and maybe go away and spend that stupid amount, which in turn encourages more sellers to try to cash in, and thus it spirals. I'll say it now, you can get a solid copy of the 144-page Deities and Demigods for under $100 in US money if you're willing to be patient and wait for auction listings. One recently sold on eBay UK for about £70 to £75. At the current exchange rate, that's what, about $90? And it was in decent condition. They are available for a sensible amount. Just be patient, be selective. So you can see we are responsible for this phenomenon with our nerdish belligerence, our refusal to accept that what we are parroting and perpetuating is not always correct. Of course, prices do rise with supply and demand, as I said earlier, but our stupid attitudes when discussing the values of items are only accelerating that. As I said in my recent review of Merp's supplement, Brie and the Barrow Downs, I'm hunting for a physical copy of it right now. There are some on eBay at the moment, but I won't be buying them because I've done my homework and I won't pay the silly asking prices. Yes, most sales of that item are around £40 up to maybe £50. But if you check the sold history on eBay, some will have gone for under 30. I think one sold about 6 weeks ago for 20 something. Sadly, I missed it. So I'm going to wait. Right, my tips then for finding bargains. And sorry, this bit of the video might annoy a few of you, especially if you're the sort who likes to spout about the value of their role-playing collection or are trying to currently make a profit out of it. Trust eBay. Yes, there are horror stories, but most sellers are honest. I've had very few issues myself. I've had the odd one or two, but very few issues. And what I've saved has more than made up for the issues I have had. Do a bit of homework. Check recent sales of any item and get a ballpark figure in your head from the evidence. When searching, completely disregard all buy it now listings. Most of those are people trying to flip the items for a profit. Be patient. Wait for auction listings with sensible starting prices. They will come up. Just be calm about it. I mean, I've got some things I've bought in recent years behind me. Merp Red Box set. I've seen them listed on eBay for up to about 150 quid. That is complete. Yes, the box is a bit knackered. I paid £12 for that through an auction on eBay. So you set your limit. My own limit is usually about 20% below the average selling price for an item. If bidding goes over that, I'll walk away, wait for another one to come. I'm afraid sellers will never make much of a profit from me, if any. My copy of D1 to 2, there, £8. I was patient. Okay, it took me about a year to find a copy for that price, but I got one in the end. Place speculative bids as well. I got a collection of Marvel superhero stuff recently, the first edition. I think it was 12 or 13 books in total. Mostly in excellent condition. There's a mixture of rule books, source books and adventures. Cost me £25 in total, including postage. When I placed the bid, I think I put a maximum of 30. I expected the listing to eventually go for 3 times that, maybe even pushing £100, because individually the items go for about £7 to £10, some a bit more. I must apologise to the seller of that, because I got an absolute bargain, about £2 per book. But such is life. This copy of T1 to 4 here, that cost me £14. Yeah, 14 on 4, because the seller was lazy and didn't put much in the description. They didn't mention whether the maps book was present, for example, because that's sometimes missing. It is, however, complete, almost unblemished, and in very, very, very good condition. In that condition, it's probably worth 40 or 50 quid. So yeah, I got a bargain. And that Fiend Folio, that one there. Another little trick here. I got that for £7. £7. It was 2, maybe 3 years ago. But still, £7. Because the title of the book was spelt wrongly in the advert. That's a common trick I try. There are common misspellings. Look for them. You might be the only one looking for that particular spelling of that item. If you check out frequent misspellings, you'll be amazed at what gems you might find slipping through the net as a result, especially with regards to Call of Cthulhu material. Anyway, I hope you found this video interesting and hopefully informative. We can all play our part in keeping the market for our nostalgia at sensible levels. Let's not get fleeced by the gougers. Be patient, be sensible, get a bargain. They are out there. Well, that's been me, John, the Old Geek. I hope you enjoyed the video. See ya!